everybody, it's Patty with Cook, Cut, and Create. Today I'm bringing you a recipe from the January-February 2018 issue of Milk Street Magazine with Christopher Kimball. And if you turn into page 30, you're going to see this beautiful looking coconut cashew cake that we're going to attempt to make today. Now this is going to take about an hour total according to the recipe. So let's jump in. Let me show you the ingredients we need. You're going to need unsweetened flake coconut. You're going to need roasted unsalted cashews. I can only find salted, so this is just a topping, so today we're going to let it slide, but you need roasted unsalted cashews. Baking powder. Right? Yeah, baking powder. Unsweetened coconut milk. Do not get the sweetened. You need unsweetened coconut milk. 14 ounces. My store only has 13 and a half. I try to buy ingredients closest to the amount. So we're going to see if 13 and a half ounces work. Recipes call for 14. I'm doing 13 and a half. You need 4 tablespoons of salted butter. You're going to need some kosher salt. Cardamom seasoning. This is a seasoning, if you don't already have it in your cabinet, when you go to purchase it for the first time, you'll be in for a little bit of a sticker shock. It can be between $6 and $10 a jar. But once it's in your cabinet, it's going to be there for a while. 3 large eggs. You need some light brown sugar and some semolina flour. It's a flour that's pretty tough to find. It's more or less used for pastas here in our country. But this is a recipe that's loosely based on an India recipe. And so, yeah. But yeah, so I believe we have all the ingredients. Yep, and you're also going to need some cooking spray, a 9-inch dish, baking dish to put the cake into. You're going to cut a piece of parchment to put in the bottom of it. You're going to need a large bowl to put some ingredients together. You're going to want a large spatula and a whisk and a cooling rack. And then you're also going to want a rimmed edge baking sheet, one with a baking sheet. Okay, first thing I want you to do, turn around, turn your oven on, preheat it to 350 degrees for the first part of what we're getting ready to do. Okay, I'm going to kind of slide these guys around here and just kind of slide them out of the way a little bit. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the coconut and the flour. They call for 1 cup of flour. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing flour and coconut together on this baking pan. We're going to be toasting it. Not roasting it, toasting it. You roast nuts, you toast coconut. So, anyway, you want a cup of the flour. You know, and with typical flours that we use, you know, you have to pack them and level them and stuff. The semolina seems to be really, really fine flour. And just a hair more. And I am going to do what my mother taught me. To level it out anytime you do flours. Do this along the top edges so that you can see, and I did have some extra. So that you can scrape off what is excess. And of course I'm making a mess, but hey, that's how it goes, right? Okay, so there is our cup of flour, and we're actually going to be combining the flour and 1/3 of the cup of the coconut on our baking tray. So I'm going to go ahead and take the flour, and I'm just going to put it out here like that. We'll just kind of spread it out a little bit. And then we need to get a 1/3 cup of our coconut. Close. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. So it does not say heaping, so I'm kind of doing almost level. And I'm just going to spread it over the top here. And then I'm just going to kind of mix it together, because what it wants to do is it's wanting to toast it, but we need to combine them together. Okay, I think that's going to be good enough for me. And then as soon as my oven gives me an indicator that it's been preheated, we're going to pop this into the oven, and it says to toast until fragrant and golden at the edges for 10 to 12 minutes. But about halfway through, we're going to want to stir this. Okay, we're halfway through the toasting of the coconut. I'm going to pull it out real quick. halfway through, it wants you to take it out and it wants you to stir it. This is what it looks like. It's not, you know, it's definitely getting very small. And I can see some of the coconut is turning pretty good brown on the edges and such. So what I'm actually going to do is it wants me to stir it. So I am actually stirring. And I'd see, because I can feel the heat coming off the flour itself, not just the pan. Because it's not wanting the flour to burn, is my guess. So I'm just kind of spreading it out a little bit more. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to pop it back into the oven for another 6 minutes. Ouch. Let me set my timer for 6 minutes and start. Okay, and that'll be 12 minutes total. Okay, at this point, I want you to take your pan that you're going to be putting it into, place a piece of parchment paper in the bottom, go ahead and spray the bottom and the sides of your pan with your choice of cooking spray, and then just set it to the side. Okay. When the coconut comes out, we're going to be transferring it into a large bowl, which I have right here, and we're going to be immediately adding the coconut milk and whisking the two together. Whisk. Now, in the recipe, it calls for a 14-ounce can of coconut milk. That's all it says. First of all, let's address the issues of the 14 ounces. When in time I go to the store to buy ingredients for the recipes and stuff, I try to find the amount of ingredients I need as closest to what the recipe calls for. Because I can't see buying 32 ounces of coconut milk when you only need 14 if I can get a 14-ounce can. They did not have a 14-ounce can. They had a 13.5-ounce can, so that's what I'm going with. Maybe a mistake, maybe not, I don't know. The other thing in regards to the coconut milk, it just says coconut milk. I get over to the aisle where the baking ingredients are. I have in front of me either choice of unsweetened or sweetened. And I'm like, well, the coconut flakes called for unsweetened. We got brown sugar going into this. We have butter, so I'm going to go with unsweetened. Unsweetened is what I put in here. It does have a comment at the top of the recipe. It says, do not use light coconut milk because you need the fat content that's in the coconut milk. So, it's unsweetened. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you shake it up really, really, really good. Really, really, really good. Really, really good. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this open. Now, a lot of times with liquids, I'll just use a regular can opener and just put the little holes into the side of it. But this go around, we're just going to do that. And that's, to me, that is pretty thick because it's slowly coming down the side of it. So I'm going to set this off to the side until we get the coconut mixture out. We have just over 3.5 minutes left. Well, I'm going to go ahead and measure out some of our other ingredients. We're going to be the brown sugar. Brown sugar is going to be 1 cup. Anytime you do brown sugars, be it light or brown, you always want to pack the sugar. And when I say pack the sugar, if you've never used it before, see how it's kind of loose when it first falls in? And you can move it around. You want to pack it. In other words, you want to push it in there with the back of your hand, the back of a spoon, whatever it takes, you're going to pack it. And this particular recipe calls for a cup, and yes, it's going to get messy. I'm going to pack it down, just like this. That's to get any air and stuff out, because light brown sugar and dark brown sugar is very, very granulated. It doesn't settle as well as our standard white sugar does, because this is more moist. So it tends to glob together. And until you push it and pack it, we're going to call that good. So there's our brown sugar that's going to go into the mixture. Now, it's also going to call for butter. And it's 4 tablespoons of salted butter, melted and slightly cooled. So I'm going to pop this in the microwave. Go ahead and melt it. Melting butter in the microwave, but we were always taught we weren't supposed to, folks. It's quick, it's easy. The radiation at this point off of a microwave, it's not going to get you any quicker than cell phone radiation is. Just my opinion. That's neither here nor there. Alright, so we're letting that melt. The eggs, we have the eggs here. 3 large eggs is what we're going to need. Baking powder, it's going to be a teaspoon and a half, which I'm not going to set that out to start with. Let me check the butter real quick. Oh yeah. Okay. The butter is melted. We're going to let it cool because it wants it to slightly cool, so it's cool there. Okay. Baking powder, cardamom, and salt. Okay, but all of those need a regular measuring spoon, so we're going to wait on that. We are waiting for the last minute and 15 seconds on the coconut, so I'll be right back. Coconut is done, and as you can see, it has toasted. Now, you're going to be moving this, transferring this into the bowl, but for just a minute, real quick, I'm going to turn around. We're going to increase the temperature on our oven to 375. That is the baking temperature for the actual cake itself. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to immediately transfer this into our bowl. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and push it all together down this way. And remember, your pan is very, very hot. Okay. Alrighty. Now we're going to immediately add in the coconut milk. Let me double check and make sure that's what it says. Transfer to a large bowl. Immediately add the coconut milk and whisk it to combine it. So make sure that you shook up your coconut milk. There you go. And then we're going to whisk it. You do not want to use an electric mixer on this. I did a little bit of research regarding the semolina flour, and I hope that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% correct, sure, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. If you whisk it too much, it's like some pastry doughs. You can put air into it and it could cause it to go flat. You do not want that. I'm going to kind of almost do it like a lumpy pancake batter. See how it's doing that? And little lumps are fine. Okay, we're going to set this to the side. And if you already have your cooling rack out, go ahead and just set the bowl on the cooling rack. And what it's going to do, we're going to be setting it aside for about 10 minutes so that the coconut milk can absorb into the dry mixture of coconut and the flour. That is the goal here. So we're going to actually set this to the side. And I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes once again, just to make sure that it absolutely has that chance to do that. Okay. Now, okay, we're going to give that 10 minutes for it to absorb and see what happens. I'm going to go rinse this off and I'll be right back. 4 minutes in, it's really starting to thicken up. So I'm going to let it wait for 6 more minutes. Alright guys, we're about 5 minutes away from that being fully done. We're going to, at this point, I'm going to take the cashews, and you're going to need a hand chopper for these. And remember, I couldn't find unsalted. Of course, I didn't go to a lot of stores that go around, but, you know, they need to be unsalted, okay? Put them in there, and you're going to coarsely chop it. Now, you could always do this on a cutting board with a knife if you wanted to. Unless you're a big glutton for punishment, then you do this with a chopper that has a broken handle. See that? It used to be a big handle, but here's the thing. I've been married almost 30 years. My mother gave this to me 30 years ago. The chopper part's not broken. I can handle this. Okay. You want it coarsely chopped. You don't want the fine powder that I'm starting to get there. So what I'm going to do now, you're only going to need a 1/4 cup finely chopped. I'm actually going to take, let's see, I think what I really want is down in there. I'm going to set this off to the side. Whee! Okay, see those? All different sizes here. There we go. See how they're all different sizes? That's coarsely chopped. Now some of these are a little bit too big for my taste, so I'm going to put them in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and chop this a little bit more. Not even going to tighten it all the way. Okay. All right, let's see. See, that one's too big for me, that one's too big for me. Okay. Some that's kind of a finer, but hey, looky there, it's now overflowing. But 1/4 cup of coarsely chopped cashews, roasted and unsalted. Unfortunately, mine are salted. Don't know how that's going to affect the taste. Who knows? But I am actually, because I'm the only one that's going to wind up eating these cashews, so I'm just going to dump these all back into the bag. Okay. Save it for a rainy day, so to speak. Okay, you're also going to be making sure you still have your coconut out, because you're going to need a tablespoon of the coconut here shortly. The cashews and the coconut is going to be going on top of the cake once we pour it into the pan. We have just over 2 minutes, so I'll be back. This is what we're looking at now. I mean, it's really, yeah, I mean, it's really absorbed in there. See that? It's really good. Okay, so now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. First, we're putting in our cup of packed light brown sugar. See, I mean, it's packed. Looky there. Isn't that pretty? And, oh my gosh, I love the smell of brown sugar. Call me crazy. Next, we're going to be adding in the butter. Remember, already melted, and it's now cooled, which is good. Okay. The eggs. 3 eggs. See, and I saved my coconut can. I would show off and do it with one hand, but sometimes here lately I've been getting shells in my food. So, and when I say one hand, I mean by going wee. Well, see, and just cracking it with one hand. Hey, no shells that time. That's my preferred method, but here lately I haven't had a great track record. I've been getting shells in my food. So after you add the 3 eggs, you're going to be adding in the baking powder. The baking powder is 1½ teaspoons. Okay. Now with baking powder, you'll notice your container has kind of a metal lid at the top. Most of them do. What you're going to do is you're just going to scoop in there. See how it's, you're going to scrape it across the top, because what you're trying to do is make it level. So there's our 1. Next is our half. Same thing. Scoop it down in there. You'll want to level it out so that it's level. And that's going to go down in there. And one of these I'm going to have to wipe off real quick. Okay, the next thing we need to add is the cardamom, which is ½ teaspoon, so I need to wipe this off real quick. Okay, and let me tell you, this is my first time using cardamom. Oh, I wish you could have smell-o-vision. Okay, ½ teaspoon, you're basically, and you're going to do just like you did the baked powder stuff. You want it to be level, so there's ½ teaspoon. Sprinkle it in there. Next, we're going to be adding salt, kosher salt, ½ teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm going to wipe off my ½ teaspoon again. And this is my kosher salt. I keep my kosher salt in a little ball spice jar. I love these. But we're going to have ½ teaspoon of that, and again, you're going to want it leveled off. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to whisk it together until it's well combined. Folks, I wish we had smell-o-vision, because this smells absolutely amazing. And we're going to whisk it together. I have to tell you, this is an amazing smell, and it's coming up with this really pretty light caramel color, but oh folks, it smells wonderful. Okay, that is well combined in my opinion. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this off, and we're going to grab our pan that this is going into. Okay, set this off this side here. I'm grabbing a large spatula to help me. And remember, if you haven't already sprayed this, put your parchment paper at the bottom and spray the entire pan. And then we're going to take and we're going to pour this in. Make sure you scrape your sides down. I'm going to turn this towards me for just a minute, guys. I'm going to try to grab this last little bit here. And this is why I like the rubber spatulas. Let me show you what I've been doing. I'm scraping down into it, and it bends and flexes, and it makes sure that you get all of your mixture. Okay, set this off to the side. Now what you're going to do, the cashews that you did, you're going to take and you're going to sprinkle them across the top. The smell already coming off of this is amazing, folks. Okay, and now you're going to take your coconut and you're going to add, how much more coconut do we have? 2 tablespoons of the coconut. So let me open my bag up here. And hopefully by now your oven has reached 375. Mine has a few minutes ago. Just take and sprinkle it across the top here. Okay. Alright. Now pop this into the oven on the center rack at 375. And it's going to take 25 to 30 minutes. You're going to cook it until a toothpick in the middle. When you put it in the middle, it comes out clean. So we're going to pop this into the oven. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh. Okay, when you move it, be very careful. It moves very, very easily. You don't want to spill it. Do not spill the cake. Ouch. And don't burn your fingers on the pan. So, 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to actually check it at about 20 minutes on my oven. So, and I'll see you shortly. Alright, guys. Let's see. Let's go check this out. I checked it at 20 and 25 and it wasn't quite done. So now it's the full 30. Let's see what we see. Oh yeah. For all intents and purposes, she is done, folks. Oh, wow. Looky here, guys. The 2 holes are for when I first put the toothpick in. It kind of fell the first time I checked it. But yeah, looky there. Looky there. And let me tell you. Oh, it smells delicious. So, guess what? I got a waiting game I have to play. I have to wait for 20 minutes for this to cool. Just let it cool on a wire rack for 20 minutes. Run a knife around the pan, then invert it onto the rack. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to let it sit there for 20 minutes. I'm going to be a good girl as much as I want to really dig into it. I'm not going to. 2 things I do notice. It is really pretty and brown. I mean, it did take the full 30 minutes in my oven. And the 2 spots that I had checked with the toothpick earlier, I noticed the cake itself seems to be very, very moist. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this. But into the hole there, no, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. But I think when we pop this over and we cut it open for a slice later, it looks like it's going to be very, very moist. It bounces back pretty well, but there is quite a bit of moisture to it. I will say this much, since it seems to be so moisture rich, I think I'm kind of glad I didn't have that extra ½ ounce of coconut milk that it called for. So, well, here we go. Waiting game again. I'm going to be a good girl. I'm going to wait for the full 20 minutes for it to let it cool. So, let's see. Waiting is never easy, especially when it smells as good as this does. So I'm going to wait 20 minutes. Once again. See you shortly. Guys. Wow. I'll tell you, that was a long 20 minutes. This cake, it smells good. Alright, at this point, this is what we've got. It's cool. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a knife. I've got a sharp one, any knife would do. You're going to run it along the edges here. And this one is a very moist cake, so it seems to be sticking to the pan pretty good. And I think that's why they asked for the parchment paper in the bottom. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of leaning it at an angle to get up underneath it. Hopefully that's good. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop this out onto the cooling rack. Oh, and hope this actually comes out the way it's supposed to. Oh, cross your fingers. This is actually a cookie cooling rack that you can stack upon one another. I couldn't find another one. Okay, it seems to be. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Gotta pull the parchment paper back. Oh, folks. That right there is pretty. And now what they want you to do is to take and put it onto your serving platter. So, let's hope that I can do this. Yeah, it seems to be pretty solid. Oh, no, okay. No, do not do that. Put your serving platter on it and flip it. It's a moist cake, so it's going to come apart pretty easy. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. And it does smell really, really amazing, folks. It really, really does. So let's take a look. Compare the picture to the cake. So there you go. Ours is a little bit darker, but you know, this is a magazine. They probably photo edited it or such. So, alright, and it is very, very crumbly. That's the crumbs from when I just popped it out onto the cooling rack. So, let's go ahead and slice this. I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just going to take a slice. And remember, I've never made this recipe before. I've never had this cake before. So this is a first to me. Alright. And up. Oh yeah, it is a very, very moisture-rich cake. It is very moist. And even just opening it up, there's a little bit of steam coming off of it, and it's been cooling for 10 minutes. I'm actually kind of surprised. Okay, set this off. And here we go. We're going to slide that off to the side. And I'm going to give this bad boy a try. And if you hear, and as you can see, Samantha, she's over here, got her tail wagging. I got a couple of dogs inside. Yeah, and they're thinking this would be good. But, oh, it just falls over. The top of it is, yeah, different. But there we go. Let's try. It's another winner. Now remember, they didn't specify whether to use sweetened or unsweetened coconut milk, and I opted to go with the unsweetened. I'm kind of glad I did. You could go with sweetened, I think, but I think it would be too sweet. And even though I could not find unsalted cashews for the top, they asked for unsalted, and I only had salted. I can't tell where there would be a difference. But, this, folks, this is very, very good. Wow. I don't drink coffee. This would be good with coffee. Maybe a hot cup of hot tea. And in the book, it does recommend to serve it warm, at room temperature, or chilled. Chilled, I don't know that I could do a chilled cake such as this. No, sweetheart, this you can't have this. It's got coconut in it. Coconut's not good for puppies. Yeah, Sammy is my other little one, and he's like, please. You can see Samantha's Sammy's right here. He's kind of tucked in behind this. You can't see him. But anyways, reality, folks. That's my life. But yeah, this is. I'm gonna hold this up to the camera. This is amazing. It seems to be dense, but it's not that it's dense. It's moist, and the top of it is also. I mean, this is a wonderful cake. Wonderful, wonderful. The toasted coconut. And wow. I mean, this is good. I'm going to take a bite from up here because the edges I noticed were kind of crispy. I guess that's because they're against the walls, and they're a little bit more brown. So I'm going to take, yeah, see, it's got a little bit more of a crisp to it. That's the side of it. Yeah, this right here, this is good. Yeah, I could see where if you used sweetened coconut, it would be too rich. This is a winner for me, folks. So, all I can say is give it a shot. Take an hour, go grab your ingredients, have fun. I'm actually going to cut a slice, take it to my mom, cut a slice, and take it to my sister-in-law across town and see what she thinks of it. So, I'll catch you next time on Cook, Cut, and Create, when I'm cooking something, cutting something, and absolutely creating mess. See you later. Bye, guys. You want to say hi, Sammy? This is Sammy. Say hi, Sammy.